If you're new to this channel, hopefully you will subscribe to me. This is Physio Move and Groove. My name is Jeannie. I'm a physical therapist with over 25 years of experience helping people to move well, feel well, and be well. So today's episode, we are going to be talking about myofascial release using a foam roll. So many of you people have probably heard of using a foam roll, or you might even have one at home, but you're not quite sure what to do with it. And what is the benefit of doing and using this foam roll for myofascial release? Well, first of all, many times our muscles are going to get super tight because after we sleep for a while, the muscles just get very tight and there's a lot of restriction within the muscle tissue. That connective tissue within your muscles is called your myofascia. Now, if you think of a dog, what does a dog do after he's been lying down? The very first thing that they will do is stretch out their arms and legs, and then they'll get moving. They're actually smarter than we are because we just lie around for a very long time and then we just think we're going to get up and go. Well, our muscle tissue doesn't work that way. So one of the most effective tools to be able to increase that connective tissue flexibility within the muscles is by using a foam roll. And in fact, it's really important to use it for some of the muscles that just aren't easily able to stretch. So this is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to use the foam roll for a few things in the mid-spine and help you with your shoulder mobility. And then we're going to take it down and use it for the lower extremity. All right, people, so let's take a trip on down to the floor and get our foam roll set up. All right, so welcome back. Here we are down on the floor, and we're going to start with using the foam roll to help to improve our posture. So one of the tools that you can do for the foam roll is to get yourself up on the foam roll. You can support your hands behind your head just so your neck is comfortable, and you can help to release the muscles around that middle thoracic spine. So you basically just roll back and forth over that mid-spine. You can even tilt your head down slightly over top of it to help to release some of that area and improve that flexibility and extension within that mid-spine. Now, I will caution you that you want to make sure that you don't go into your lower back. You got some organs in there and it's really not very comfortable to foam roll over that area. So really stick to that middle spine. You can go even up into that upper thoracic spine. That usually feels really good. A lot of things that people are not aware of is that you can actually use this foam roll the opposite way and put it this angle instead of the other angle, and then you can hop up on top of your foam roll. Just be careful getting up on it. But this is probably one of the best things you can do for posture. It's really hard to have bad posture when you're on this foam roll. It sort of forces your neck to be straight. It forces that mid-spine, low back, everything's aligned properly. It just rolls, so you have to be careful with that. But basically, if you just hang your arms out, it's a really good pec stretch. And you can slightly roll back and forth. It helps to release that thoracic spine while stretching out those pec muscles as well. So it's really good to help open everything up. Another thing you can do is use it to improve your shoulder mobility too, by actually then just crisscrossing and going back and forth with your arms. Of course, the goal is to try to touch that thumb down into the floor. Obviously, you can see that this is an exercise that I need to be doing as I definitely have some shoulder stiffness. So you just go back and forth, and again, that goal is to try to see if you can touch that thumb down to the floor by alternating those arms. The more that you do, you'll see that it actually will start to loosen up somewhat. And it's a good position because, again, your shoulders are back as you're doing it as opposed to being forward. So it will really help to increase that shoulder mobility. Now, next thing we're going to do is I'm actually going to move you up to a chair and show you a really great way to use this foam roll to help to improve shoulder mobility, especially if you've just recently had shoulder surgery. So we're going to move on up. So now you can take your foam roll on your kitchen table grab yourself a chair, and you can put your hands up on the foam roll, thumbs up because that opens up those shoulders, and you can actually use it to help you roll into shoulder flexion a little bit further. This is a great activity to do if you've recently had rotator cuff repair surgery because it helps to assist you with that range of motion. So we can do shoulder flexion this way. You can actually then turn yourself to the side and you can do a little bit of shoulder abduction. Again, it's a great tool to be used for assistance. So if you have one of these foam rolls, you might as well use it in multiple different ways. And you'll just go back and forth with it. And you can go as far as you like with this one. So that pretty much covers the upper extremity. Now we're going to move on to the lower extremity, which is what most people use the foam roll for. So we're going to take it back down to the floor again. All right. So here we go, back down to the floor. I've chosen to pick some of the more common muscles that we tend to try to release with our foam roll. The first one is going to be our piriformis muscle. Everybody knows about those ones. They run across that glute muscle. So what you're going to do, if you're looking to stretch out the left one, which is the one I'll show you today since it's closer to the camera so you can see it, just cross over that left leg over top of the right, whichever one you're planning on stretching. You're going to kind of lean back and lean onto that side of that glute muscle. Now, it used to be that you would roll back and forth, but research has shown that to release a trigger point, it's actually more effective if you hang out on it for about 30 seconds. So find a spot that might be a little bit tender. Once you find that spot, hang out there for about 30 seconds. Make sure that you keep breathing while you're releasing it. And then we increase oxygen to the area. We can get a much better release of the muscle if you continue breathing. Remember about taking a deep breath in and a longer breath out, which promotes relaxation. So again, you'll find that spot. After 30 seconds, you might want to move on to another trigger point. Find another tender spot. Hold that for 30 seconds. Remember to take your deep breath in, breathe out, and then roll. Find maybe another spot along that piriformis muscle. So you can do 4 or 5 spots, about 2 to 3 minutes to try to release that muscle tissue. Another really common muscle that people want to try to release is your IT band, your iliotibial band. Research has shown there's actually not really any effective stretch for that iliotibial band because it's a very tight, thickened band. So the best way to try to improve the mobility within that band is by foam rolling it. Now, depending on how much pressure you want to put on it will depend on how much discomfort you might feel. So you can start off with less pressure by putting one leg in front of the other, and you can control how much pressure you want to put by how much pressure you put on your upper extremity as well. So you can kind of go the whole length of that IT band. Now remember, it starts up here at your hip, goes all the way down to near your knee. So it's a pretty long band and you'll find some really good trigger points in there. When you find one again, you're going to hold it there for 30 seconds. Now, if you want to really put a lot of pressure on there, you can lift up your other leg and roll out. And that's a lot more pressure. But this is the beauty of this foam rolling is you can decide how much pressure you want to put on it. Find your spot, again, hold it for 30 seconds, breathe in, breathe out longer than you breathe in, and find your few spots to help to release it. You can basically do any muscle that you want with this foam roll. So you can flip on over, you can get your hamstring muscle, you can get your calf muscle, and then you can even rotate more forward and get more into that quadricep muscle. You know, wherever you want to go, find your spot, hold it for 30 seconds, breathe in, breathe out, find another spot, hold it for another 30 seconds. You can get all sorts of different areas. Now, I will tell you, when you get up a little bit higher into where your hip flexor is, it's kind of hard to get it with this foam roll. So I suggest using a tennis ball or even a larger softball. Those work really well to try to release the trigger points within those hip flexors. It's most effective to do these foam roll releasing and then move on to your stretch. You'll actually get a much better stretch in the muscle tissue if you have released it first. That connective tissue will be nice and mobile, and you'll feel much more freedom within doing those stretches. Now, if you don't have a foam roll, don't worry about it. You can use even something like this. This is a running stick. There's all sorts of different ways to release the tissue. These are great too. Any runner should have one of these available to them because it's portable. You can pack it inside a running bag real easy. This is also good because you have a lot more control in terms of how much pressure you put through it. So you can put a lot more pressure or you can put less pressure. When you're using the foam roll, you're putting your weight on it. So this way, this is actually a little bit less intense, but it still can release it. So same idea, this one you're probably gonna roll a little bit more instead of pushing down because you don't get the same amount of pressure points as what you do with this foam roll. But again, easily done. You can get your calf muscle, roll it out. You can get your quadricep muscle. You can get your IT band. Whatever you want, you can get any muscle group. So you can release it and then you can go ahead and stretch it. Another thing to consider too is to make sure that you drink lots of water after you do these releases, just because sometimes you can have a buildup of that lactic acid from using the foam roll and releasing. So that will help you too. So that's about it. We covered upper extremity, we covered lower extremity. So just remember people, just be a dog and make sure that you try to release and stretch before you get up and go. And remember to keep moving and grooving and subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you next Friday. Bye, have a great weekend.